meeting to order. Monday, what is it, August 26th, isn't it? 2024. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the one thing on the docket tonight is the tax levy worksheet that needs to be finalized and advertised by September the 1st. Jackie asked that I get it to her by, I think she said Tuesday or Wednesday would be the latest.
Yeah.
Because she needs to get the numbers in, is it Gateway that she puts it into? And they have to be advertised 10 days prior to our meeting in September. So it has to be on the docket by September 1st. We did come in with the numbers that were given to Jackie by the auditor, Gail. As those numbers read, it put us under levy at 352, 257. Adopting under levy is the biggest no-no in the world because you will lose some tax revenue for your county and you will never get it back again. And we know we can't afford to do that. So my suggestion is that we put 400,000 into the line item outstanding temporary loans, line item 4. The reason being is, speaking with Jackie, is that is one line item that we would be able to remove that money and use it anywhere else should we find that we have missed something. And I think that that's a really good idea. That puts us 47,743 over levy, which then will cut down to be just a little bit over levy. But that's a whole lot easier to do. This is a lot easier than last year. I can tell you that right now. And we did not put any gaming revenue in the general fund. There's no casino revenue added into the general fund at all. Does anybody got any questions? I know it's a little bit complicated though, especially if it's your first time looking at this. The red lines, the red numbers only mean that she used a formula to get those numbers. It does not mean that you're in the red. There are a few funds, accounts that do not fund, but that can be worked on as we're doing the cuts to find out why they're not funded and see what those certain people that don't have funds in there, what they can do to fix that.
I've got a question.
Mhm.
If I may.
All right, Jamie. What?
So you said, I'll go for it. So
Okay.
I think there's a number of flaws with this budget as presented. And I'll just go through a couple of them. One, we said that there was no casino revenue in the general fund, but there absolutely is. There's 300,000 of casino revenue to offset the overall operating cost of SCER's budget. So there's 300,000 that was assumed. No one came to the commissioners and asked for an appropriation of $300,000 for the 2025 operating budget of SCER. So there's 300,000 that's assumed it's going to get from casino revenue to fund SCER.
SCR doesn't fund. It's not gonna fund. It's one that needs to be worked on.
Right here, it says used in revenue, 300,000 for emergency medical services.
But that it's not funding
It's not in the general fund.
general funding.
So you're saying none of the 1.1 million for SCER is in the budget?
No, this is general fund that was.
You're saying SCER
It's not funding.
is totally funded by casino revenue?
Always has
No.
been.
I am saying what she's saying is under the 352 is county general.
So where is SCER at then?
It's not making the budget because it's off. It is over budget for what it's taking in.
The full 1.1 million.
Not the full, but whatever all you guys asked for, yes.
So that you've only partially funded SCER in the general fund.
I'm gonna.
1151 is not part of the general fund.
I'm gonna correct you on this.
Correct me.
Okay, SCER is something that was brought up by the commissioners. It was developed by the commissioners. It was added in by the commissioners. The commissioners have always funded the emergency services. When it changed, that's when we started giving money because we were doing the casino revenue at the time. Prior to that, we never put money in on casino, on the SCER. It was all done through the commissioners. The commissioners asked council. I don't think you were a commissioner at the time, when that changed over. I don't think you were. Josh South was the
So
president.
why did we fill out a budget for SCER then?
Because you commissioners do. It's under you guys. It's not under us.
It's a separate line item in the budget. Commissioners is different than SCE.
Commissioners are in total charge of SCER, how it's funded, how it's run,
We
whether.
don't
it's
even get
additional or
enough
not.
money to fund SCER, so that can't be right.
The
We
only
get
way-
10% of casino revenue, their budget's 1.1 million. There is no way that can be right.
I know. I'm telling you that.
I'm telling you.
It's the commissioners that have always funded SCER. They asked county council for money from gaming revenue when we were in charge of the gaming revenue. to
But you
fund
gave
SCER,
approximately
and we did.
400,000 a
And we
year.
gave 400,000.
So where's the other 700,000 come from? It doesn't come from commissioners.
You guys have always done it. We have no idea.
You haven't met with anyone to discuss the SCER
Oh,
budget.
absolutely we did.
You've met with Emily.
Emily,
That's it. You haven't met with council. You haven't, this.
we haven't met with council to discuss any other budget, period.
I don't know how the
This has
commissioners
nothing
fund.
to do
I have
with
no idea.
your
It's the
budget.
receipts.
I mean, SCR funds with the receipts,
Yeah.
their income that they come
Right.
bring
So
in.
you have the original amount of money at the beginning of the year that we agreed to,
Yeah.
which is what, 400,000?
But we,
That's what-
400,000 a year.
So that starts them on that process. The receipts are to carry them through for an operating budget.
Yeah.
But to Jamie's point, you still have 300,000 sitting over here, so it gets you to 1.3,
We won.
1.1.
The receipts are about 400,000. But if you remember, that fund typically had 600,000 or more in it. The receipts stayed in that fund. I'm 99.9% positive that
I don't know where the
It's
money comes from
funded
to fund it.
from the general fund.
Council only gave them $400,000 a year, period. That's all we've ever funded. And that's when the commissioners asked, not you, because you weren't a commissioner at the time, asked us for the money, casino revenue money to fund SCER, when we changed the way we did it.
So we'll agree to look into it and see which is right and which
How
is
it's
wrong,
funded.
or if it's a mix of both or whatever it is. Because I'm certainly unclear if that's the case. I don't know where the money come from, because I can tell you commissioners don't get enough from council to fund SCER.
I don't know where you took it from. I have no idea.
And the receipts typically are around 400,000 a year.
So that's eight, so you're still missing 300,000.
Correct.
Which is maybe why she's got that written down.
Is that,
Yeah, that's
So-
very why
I was
she's
just
got
gonna
that
say,
written.
is this not the
That's what it's
300,000 that we're
lacking.
missing?
That's what it's not gonna fund.
So,
If you take what they income, what they're paying out, that's what.
so is Moorfield Bennington not in the budget either?
It's the same thing. It's not gonna budget either. It was
So
more.
tech building not in there either?
Nope.
Nope.
So are they not government, are they not county facilities? Why are they not
They are
included
not
in our
part of
budget?
county general.
Why aren't they included in our budget? They're part of our county cost.
They're not in county general. This is what they're talking about
But
tonight.
see, that's what's misleading to the taxpayers, number one. We
We don't-
borrow
we
from
don't
Peter
list
to
out
pay
all
for
our
Paul,
There's a
rather than
ton of expenses
everybody
that the county-
understanding.
There's a ton of expenses that the county pays for that's not in county general. And I agree that that is very misleading to the taxpayers, because they think that this is all that we do, that we have to
Yeah.
budget. This is only one budget.
So are there,
There are a lot of things
Are there-
paid for.
you and I had an earlier conversation,
Yes.
I would tell you, that's my very same concern. I mean, you've got $2.5 million worth of medical coverage for the employees here in the county.
Which is an expense.
Which is an expense, 100% covered by casino revenue, which was down 22 to 23, is gonna be down 23 to 24, was down 22% in July. And here we are gonna give folks the impression that we're actually under budget, when in fact we got $2.5 million that we can't cover on our own, just to give medical benefits.
Yes,
We got 1.1 that we can't cover with the emergency services.
yes.
And we have elected officials going on social media screaming that the money's there, fund this and fund that. It's very misleading.
It is very
I get it's the
misleading.
way it's always been,
It
but
is.
we should probably take some steps, maybe not in this meeting, but in future meetings, to correct that so that the community understands where we're at. You got a $5.8 million budget approximately.
Correct.
You're essentially, it's a push for the revenue, but you got millions of dollars of expenses that you're betting the casino revenue is gonna be there. The trend tells us it's not gonna be.
That's correct.
And we got the community telling us to fund things that we all love, but we don't have the money for.
But even in that 5.8 million, Eric, there's also $400,000 of interest income from our investments from last year. Why would we put interest income? Why would we use interest income to fund pay increases when there's no guarantee that that interest income is gonna continue on year after year after year, right?
That's a great question.
And another flaw with the interest income is, you know who's supposed to approve that interest income and how it's used? The local board of finance. You know who the local board of finance is? No, none of us did prior to this week. It's the commissioners and the treasurer. The only way that funds can be allocated to the general fund is by majority vote of the local board of finance.
So who moved the money?
So the treasurer does not have authority to do that.
No, it has to be by majority of vote of the local board of finance, which is the three commissioners and the treasurer.
So who moved the money, Jim?
I'm not gonna say anybody did it maliciously or
Yeah, I'm just asking who and how.
the treasurer moved it, okay? But the treasurer doesn't have that sole authority to make that decision. So now we're sitting here with 400,000 that's gonna be applied as carryover to 25, so it's inflating the budget, if you will, or our carryover income by $400,000. And we're making decisions on giving pay increases that 400,000 may not be there next
So
year.
we're gonna have to rob Peter to pay Paul again in 25. We're gonna take another 400 grand.
Could be,
of
To
interest,
stay whole, right?
which is really part of our rainy day fund that we should be earning interest on in case.
It should be a part of our continued investments. That 400,000, if I'm, as a member of the local board of finance, I'm gonna say, no, you let that interest carry on and continue to build and draw more interest to help secure or guarantee the future of this county.
And
You don't
find-
throw it into your general fund and fund crazy increases like in this budget.
I agree with Jamie.
Preaching to the choir.
I agree. I agree. We have to get a tax levy passed. So I would make this suggestion. The 400,000 that Lisa is looking to move up to get us to levy. We have to put that in, otherwise we're gonna lose it completely.
We're gonna lose revenue.
Then we turn around and we hold a special joint meeting with the commissioners. And we make sure that what he's talking, what all of us agree, I'm not gonna just say Jamie, because I agree with this. We have to let the taxpayers know, we have additional expenses out there of almost $3 million over the top of what is funded in our general. I don't believe they've ever been told that. I don't think they understand that.
Closer to 6 by this file.
Well,
$6 million.
we can cover all of that in that. You're
I
right.
would agree with the 6 million number.
Yeah, $6 million.
But if
Above
you're
and beyond the levy.
But if you're looking at what's funded through casino revenue that we don't count as general fund.
Right.
We just pass it over to them and say, cover this.
Yeah, yeah.
To everything you pointed out, casino revenue going down, 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 down. It's getting tighter and tighter. I would suggest we put the 400,000 in there. We're gonna have a very ugly budget season coming up because whatever we cut from this document today, we have to fund. We have to fund. But I think everything he said in regards to especially the investments, it makes no sense to be taking your investment dollars and putting them into your general fund and spending them year after year after year. And I am well aware that he's right. We found out about a board of finance from Jackie Clements on Friday. She said that this has always been this way. We asked her to recite I know people are gonna say, here we go, Matt, with the IC codes. It's an IC code. It is.
Here, let me help you. I will tell you what IC code it is. It's 5-13-7-6. So if anybody wants to look up the local board of finance, how it's established, what their role is, you can go to IC code 5-13-7-6.
And they have to hold their own meeting. It cannot be attached to a commissioner's meeting. There has to be a president elected. There has to be a secretary elected. The investment officer is noted as the treasurer. The treasurer does not have the authority by herself to move income money anywhere without the board of finance approving it. Those are the rules.
But yet that happened.
It's
It's
always
happened, it's happened every year.
But
We've
we
never
have-
even had a local
but we-
board of finance.
Well, we've never had this kind of interest either, because.
But it doesn't matter. Even Jackie said last year there was 60,000.
But-
And 60,000 is a long ways from
but the cost is
400,000.
more, it's more noticeable.
What's,
I think the biggest problem is that we're supposed to be doing something a certain way and don't even know what we're supposed to be doing.
We're all learning at certain different times. I mean, we learned that the way we've done a lot of things has not been exactly right.
But that doesn't mean you just accept it in a budget and
not suggesting.
leave it. And I know you're not proposing that, but as if you can't tell, I'm a little passionate about the subject.
I'm all right with that. But I know what our job is different than what your job is. And we have a estimated levy that we have to advertise by September 1st.
Yeah, but you can't include funds that you're not allowed to use that wasn't authorized or approved
We're
to,
not.
to,
That-
yeah,
those
you absolutely are.
Those gaming revenues that are listed over there are not in the.
That 400,000 that was put in the general fund in June was not allowed by law to be put in the way it was put in.
But it's
It had to be
already-
voted and approved by a majority of the local board of finance, and that didn't,
That was 400 grand, right?
that was 400
All right.
grand.
And if
Now,
we're over
it's-
by, and if we're under by 352, we're actually over.
Over by 48 or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, so we're gonna put 400 in that line item. And then when you get all your ducks in a row and you know that you can take that 400 back, then you can, because it's gonna be there. If it's not there, then you're not gonna have a way to get it back.
So
Because
what
it's
are,
in there.
so what are we gonna do in the meantime relative to saying, well, here's really what the budget is and how much we're over levy, not under levy?
Well, if you want.
Because you don't have the animal shelter, you don't have, or not the animal shelter, but Moorfield Bennington, you don't
everything
have
is in there.
the tech building.
Everything is in
I,
there.
I,
Highway, local road and street, public safety, and emergency. Those two, none of those fund. And Moorfield Bank
well, the only tech building either.
and tech building. It's not listed separate on.
But they're a part of the operating costs. They don't just
But
pay for themselves.
no, they don't. That's why they're not making. the-
Then how do they get paid for?
Out of casino revenue.
That's not your funds
You're,
to decide.
I
But
agree.
we're not deciding that tonight. The only thing that we're deciding is county general.
What, Jamie,
And the money,
I hear, again, I hear you,
I
what
hear
you're
what you're
saying.
saying.
I do.
I do
And
too.
I think that you are, I'm saying,
What he's
again,
saying is
I
he would
believe
like
you're
to have them in
absolutely
the
right.
county general, so he'll know the true budget of what we have.
Yeah, they should be in there. They're part of the operating costs of this county.
Agreed.
Then you could come to the commissioners and say,
that's
look,
it.
we're $2 million
You know,
over levy. Tell us how you're gonna get it. We're probably gonna have to say, well, some of it we're gonna give you from casino revenue. Some of it, we're gonna say, well, here, we're gonna make cuts. These 10% increases everybody wants, we're not giving them, we're giving 5. But if you come to me and tell me, we're good, we're 300 some thousand under levy, but yet you're thinking I'm gonna spend $3 million to cover other stuff, then that's a fundamental problem.
That's the exact situation that council's been in all these years.
Well,
We
then
had
I'm
to
not gonna-
Find a way to fund it, just like you're talking about, we're going to find a way to fund that. That's exactly the situation that we've been in for years. This is the first time it's been flipped over to you guys.
Oh,
I'm
no, and I know how
I'm
you
kinda
handled
thrilled
it in the
about that.
past.
Now you understand the pressure and the strain and how hard it
I'm
is.
fine with it. I'm
to do,
perfectly fine
because
with it.
We have done that for years, right, Randy?
No fun.
It was no fun whatsoever, but we found a way to fund everything that needed to be funded.
I'm perfectly fine with it,
Only so many tax dollars that come in.
but don't,
Highway and
but don't
local
give
road and
10%
street
pay
are
increases and then come and tell me I've got to give you $3 million.
We're not
You
giving
tell
them-
me how much money you need, and then I'll tell you where we're gonna cut and what we're gonna give you relative to casino revenue.
Okay, well, I'm gonna turn that back around. I'm not gonna ask you for any money to fund something that the commissioners have to take care of.
Commissioners have to take care of all of it, so I don't know what you're talking
But I'm-
about.
You just say we're gonna ask you for money to fund.
You're gonna tell me that I need X amount of money, right?
Yeah, it's you guys' problem.
I don't
for the
wanna know
businesses. It's you
this
guys'
piece, I
problem
wanna
for
know
the
this piece.
CDR. It's not ours. We don't have, no longer will you be asking us for the funds, because you've got the funds that you have to spend it on. That's what I'm saying.
But,
So, I mean, I know what you're saying. I know how you feel about that. You're gonna have to come up with a way to provide those. In the past, it's been ask council to pay for it, and we have. Now, it's
Commissioner's
all
money.
on your plate.
but nevertheless, so my point again is the same. If you tell me today that you're 300 and some thousand under levy, I'm gonna tell you you're not, because you don't have all the county's operating costs in that budget.
I agree with that.
And I can't speak for any of the other commissioners, but if you tell me, for example, we're $700,000 under levy, I'm gonna find part of that in our general fund budget. Make no mistakes about it. Whether that's through the proposed pay increases not being as much as they were. I know there's new positions in there. Don't fund those positions. That's where part of it, and hopefully the majority of it's gonna come from. And whatever we can't make up from the general fund, then we'll have to look at how do we fund it. But if you tell me we're 300,000 under levy, because what's in there as revenue is not necessarily accurate or legal, I'll put it that way, then I really don't know where we're at, because it's not a true picture of what we really are dealing with.
Jamie, if we're up against a time crunch.
We are
with
up
the
against a
state,
time clock.
And so the suggestion, that proposal that you've made if we were to pass it, and this is a question for the auditor, is there still time to frankly make some changes to how things are bucketed in the general ledger so that we can be more transparent with the community and they
What
understand?
we advertise versus what we adopt in October are two separate completely things. If you look behind you, that's where that came in last year. So, I mean, the county general has to be advertised as county general, and it does not include all the ones Jamie's talking about.
Can
Should
we,
it? Maybe, I don't know.
can we
That's how it-
after tomorrow make changes to that? If
Uh,
we move something
no,
like.
I
It
think you
has to
can
be-
for next year, but
It
you
has
can't
to
for
be
this year.
advertised, and then you have your public hearing on it the 11th. After that, you can meet with every department head, every person you want,
Change anything.
the commissioners, myself, whomever, and then you can ask them to change.
So for 2025, we
Yeah.
could move.
But if everything,
Yeah.
but if everything was listed, we would not be under.
No,
You know, that's what we know.
By millions,
Yes.
but the,
by millions.
I mean, I'm shocked to hear that we came in.
We've done this one other time since I've been on council. This is the second time in
And that-
8 years.
we're just under in the county general. We're not under in anything else.
So is that both for revenue and expenses? Because I was told that
It's
if we've already taken that revenue and it's been published that way, and we had to publish something in July, or no?
We had to do, the non-binding review. We
Those
had
are
to,
just the circuit breakers.
Yeah.
That's just the tax rates. That has nothing to do with this. So.
Any other revenues?
So if the commissioners wanted to move something that is not in the general fund today, after the 11th, can they do that?
That, no, tell me again, what'd you say? If the.
These
commissioners
items
want
that are
to
not
move-
in the general fund, some of the items that Jamie's,
So for,
tech building, whatever.
Tech
this is an
building.
example. You want to move that up under general fund because it is part of our general
It's-
costs.
But it cannot be under general fund. Anything
Because-
1,000 fund is general fund.
I understand. I
Tech building
understand.
is 4945. That's
I
completely
understand that.
different.
What I'm
So
asking
no,
is,
because
can it be moved?
no, but we can have a line
can't be
item of
reclassed.
400,000 that can pay for it.
now, why would it,
Can it not be
that
reclassed?
is,
is that because it's not considered essential to county government? I mean, I can't think of another reason.
I would say emergency services, I would think would be essential.
Essential, I would think so too.
I think so.
But it was set up on its own because it could not fund from the day one.
yeah.
I completely
Yeah,
understand.
and-
Newest guy in the room, I completely
That
understand.
doesn't
That's
mean that
the
it
way
can't
it has
be put
always
in.
been.
I don't know
What
why.
I'm
I don't
asking
know.
is if we
I
all
don't
agree that
think
for
we can,
transparency
but I can
purposes,
ask. I mean,
We can find out.
it could be laid out better if
What
we
does it,
reclass
if
some of these.
it's
Why
under
would
the general fund or if it's over here by itself, it's not gonna fund, period. The tech building is never going to fund.
And I think that's what we're trying to, that's what I'm trying
You
to
know what I mean?
accomplish,
It's never.
is to show people
We're
that
trying to
this stuff
illustrate to
doesn't
the
fund.
community That it doesn't fund.
And
Well-
that, I agree with
That's
what
the
you
whole
guys,
message.
that's the whole message that needs to be
It's the
laid out.
crux of the whole thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we bless the levy tonight at what, 5.7,
5.2.
5.2. Bless it tonight at 5.2. And now you want to make these, to his point, you got to make cuts. We can make the cuts in the budget meetings. We can make
Yeah,
the
you
cuts,
can-
right? But then we have to find money to make sure what we told the state is still true. So if we cut 600,000 out of the budget this year, we may have to go over to our rainy day fund and push that 600,000 out into line 2, which is where, line 4, I guess, is what you were talking about. We'd have to add 600,000, but you're still accomplishing what we're talking about here, getting it right.
So is there an option B where we adopt the proposal that Lisa has made and then after the fact, advertise and reclass items so that there's full transparency on this infrastructure that we've built that we can't afford?
Maybe, yeah.
I do not know.
That's my question.
I don't.
That way we
That
meet
way
the
I-
letter of the law and the timeline,
Well, I think we need to find out.
but we
I
achieve
agree.
our responsibility
Yeah, we do need
to
to find
create
out.
transparency.
There's just
For the
different ways of
Yeah,
doing it.
I mean, we could talk about this. I'm more concerned that we've been borrowing for years from our investment
Everybody
account.
thinks you're flush
and
with
nobody
cash,
knew we
you're
were
not,
borrowing
because
from
we
our
have so
investment
much that
account.
doesn't fund.
This is
Here's the
advertised
case.
though. This is
That's
what's gonna
bothersome.
be advertised,
Yeah.
that
Yeah, it is.
EMS is not making it,
Yeah.
public safety, you know.
I know, but they, everybody thinks you're flush with cash.
And to
And
your
the fact that
point,
we don't fund
Right.
things, because we can't fund things, we have to do it on the side out of casino revenue because we don't have the funds for it. But then you have your public out there saying you're just flush with cash, let's
Yep.
just pay for it.
Now,
We got
you have
hands
this
on
big
all
pot of
of
gold you
Yeah.
keep digging in.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you get it all in the right ledger accounts and you show them that there's this much expense and this much money, everyone will get that.
Yeah.
But right now, we got this big mess, this big spaghetti plate that no one understands, which is why we have people who are elected in this community
Yeah.
saying we got plenty of money
we don't.
and we don't.
The DLGF is the one that sets those funds and classifies them too. It's not like,
So we can talk with them
We came up
and
with-
Is there
find
any
out.
reason
how
we
they
can't
can-
have Vicky Neely, who is our rep, come down and have this conversation with us?
She
I
would-
don't know if we could get her to come down at this time, but she could, I'm sure she would.
We can call her and ask her.
We can call her,
She
email her.
is there for us.
Mhm. I've
So-
spoke to her several times.
I mean, I think
That's one of the
We've
things.
got
There's lots of agreement, but we unfortunately have a timeline that we're up against.
Yeah.
And
Do you
so,
think-
so we'd be rolling the dice, because I don't hear an affirmative answer that we actually have the ability to reclass things. But I'd be 1,000% with you that
No.
it should be done.
that's right.
Well,
The question is, how do we navigate?
Well, once again, here's my problem. We're all aware of the pay increases and the additional positions and everything else that was in the budget.
Yeah.
If we walk out of this room today and don't make any changes, and we know that some of those pay increases are funded by monies that are not guaranteed going forward, then everybody needs to expect that next year when we don't have that income, that there's gonna be pay cuts, not pay increases. Or we're gonna address
We
it.
haven't signed off on the increase.
We haven't signed off.
Adopting this tonight has.
I know, but I've seen how many times you walk away in county government, you walk away and you never hear nothing. Next thing you know, that's your new policy, that's your new commitment.
No.
I don't intend to vote for that file the way that it was
Raises or
presented.
Okay.
Nor do I.
There's no way.
It has
Never.
nothing to do
I
with.
can't
race.
speak for the other multitude. I guess you have two votes here that are saying I'm not voting for it.
Yeah,
There's third.
there's no raises given tonight.
This has nothing to do.
We just
So I understand, but I just don't want us forgetting what's really in that
We're not gonna. forget.
revenue. I'll put it that way.
We're not gonna forget.
Your point is crystal
I mean-
clear.
Okay.
And I
I
do think
apologize
that-
for interrupting
No.
your meeting.
I think that this is a great point. To Eric's point, there's a lot of people out there that are saying they know a lot of things. I don't know everything. You have to do a lot of studying for this, and it's very apparent we have done things the wrong way, and people don't want to live by the rules. The rules are the rules. They're not our rules. We found out about this Board of Finance simply by accident.
By
from a
asking
lady-
questions about the budget. That's how we
Right,
found
from a
out.
lady that runs this report
Yeah.
that said, you got it, your Board of Finance does this.
We were trying to figure out how the numbers were going up, and then, and then she was telling us about the interest money we putting in. How did that happen? Well, your treasurer put it in. We didn't know anything about that. And, she said, well, who makes that decision? And she said, well, your Board of Finance.
And for the general
It's the
public
Board
to
of
really
Finance.
understand this,
Send us the
everything
ID
you've
code.
made
She
in
did.
your investment account, every single year, everything you made, listen to me clearly, all of you, you have taken that money and you have used it. You are not growing a damn dime in this community. Nothing. You go down the street down here to Rising Sun, that's why they have $26 million sitting to their benefit, because they kept all their investments.
They put it-
We have, no better word, pissed it away for things that we shouldn't have been given out to begin with. And we hear about commitment letters that nobody can come up with. We hear about, you've always done this, you're accountable for this. No, we're not accountable. Bring us the commitment letter. Until then, these issues now have to be discussed, and you can wait another year, but this thing's gonna get real ugly real fast. So I absolutely agree with you. I think it needs to be a special combined meeting with you folks, commissioners. You're in charge of the casino revenue. If you would have, before July 1st, known, if somebody would have come to you and said, hey, do you want to fund medical benefits? Do you want to fund wastewater? Do you want to fund emergency medical? And you said no, all that money is now back on us. We got to find the cuts for it. They don't have to pay for it.
So we gotta
But
cut
they weren't
something
given
else
that
out of general.
opportunity. The same that nobody here was given the opportunity to say, do not use our investments to pay our bills. That's not how you do things. You don't borrow from your 401k to go on vacation.
And has that been ongoing, or was it just found out this year?
It's been ongoing.
It's been
Last
ongoing,
year,
but it just
it's
hasn't been-
significant this year because we
It hasn't
put
been
money
very
in the
much
Indiana trust that was making 5% interest.
Yeah.
Last year, Jackie Clements is showing that we borrowed 60 grand total,
60,000.
but we had it in a bank account that was making 0.04,
Yeah,
Which is awful crazy.
yeah.
which is another conversation. And this is the way it's always been done. It's an ugly statement, but it is the truth.
But when you said that money, that interest income was used to pay bills,
The only place you can move interest
That's-
income to is the general fund.
right, but it wasn't necessarily,
Yes,
I'm not saying that it was
Yeah.
right or wrong. I'm not saying that it,
I'm not,
how do I want to say it?
It just
without-
wasn't enough
we
to
should have
make
done
very
it
much
that
of a
way.
difference.
We should have been
this year.
notified that that's where our investment dollars were going.
Well,
Right.
first it should have been
Well, I mean-
voted on by the local board of
You're
finance
right.
and decided
You're right.
what was gonna be done.
Well, then
Another whole
from now
discussion.
on, now that we know there is such a thing.
Yeah.
Right.
To me, it's a no-brainer. Who wouldn't want to earn 5%?
So to your point about all the budget stuff that needs to be fixed, absolutely agree with you. Absolutely would tell you, shut off the investment income from the general fund and let our investments grow. Needs to be done. There goes 400,000 out of the pocket.
And if you
10% increases, it's ridiculous to even believe we can cover
Well, I'm
that.
gonna ask you to put the 400,000 back. I'll just
I-
tell you that.
If you're allowed to, and we're allowed to, there's gonna be a line item that makes that available.
Well, I think that's what we have to, do, but that's just my
But
opinion.
I'm not
You
sure
stop
it
the
can
bleeding.
happen.
And the only way to address it is to make sure that our community understands with the casino revenue, we've been hiding your expenses from you. You really don't, you're not seeing all of them. That's where Eric is. That's where you are. That's what I'm hearing Lisa say. Randy, like I've heard you, you got to tell them the truth, what our expenses really are.
We've worked a long time trying to get things out of casino revenue.
So I'll sit down. I won't interrupt anymore, but I appreciate the time.
Thank you,
before.
Jamie.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Thanks, James. Even though we don't agree on everything, and I hope you didn't get mad at me too.
We don't have to agree on
I
everything.
know.
No.
All right, all right, so you guys kind of understand what's going on here. Everybody does. So I'll entertain a motion to put $400,000 in line item 4, which is outstanding temporary loans, so that our budget is over just by a little bit, so that we do not lose revenue for our county.
So we just agreed that we can't do this.
Huh?
That we just agreed that we cannot do this.
That
We
we
don't
can't, oh, no,
No, we
we're gonna have to. We cannot
don't-
cannot
we don't-
advertise a levy
But I thought we agreed that
under.
we can't do this.
That's Jamie's
Oh,
opinion that
no.
we shouldn't be doing it.
We're gonna go ahead and do it.
It's our
We
job.
have to, yeah.
It's an expense.
Yeah, this is our
What you
job
want to do is put it
to,
in
to,
an expense.
to advertise the levy. It's our job to do
I
that.
understand that.
We have to advertise the levy. We cannot let it advertise as under when we know it's not.
But I thought we needed this board's approval before we can.
No,
No,
no, that's not on.
There is no
this.
board yet.
I know, I understand that, Mark.
Yeah, so we've got to move on with what we have to do, because if we wait till they establish a board, it will be done
We
by the
have
end
to,
of the
yeah,
week.
we have to get Gail this to advertise it.
Yeah.
We have to do that.
Gail only has so much time to put it in.
Jamie is at the Board of Finance. What he's basically saying is they're gonna establish the Board of Finance by rule. And he's probably, I don't think he's probably, I think the commissioners are gonna say, you can't use investment income
$400,000.
any longer to move to the general
So
fund.
then it's gonna go back.
And then we're gonna feel that over on this.
Yeah, and if they're able to get it back out of this budget, then we have a line item they can get it back out of. Otherwise,
The,
big trouble.
So we accomplished two things by doing that.
Yes, we accomplished 2 things. I'm not sure they can move it out once it's been put in. He's gonna find that out.
I'm not sure that
All
we
the
could
state
move
board
it
of
in.
Accounts. Once it's
Yeah,
put in, I don't know that it can
You're
come
right.
back out.
It's a wash, so.
Yeah, so,
the money
We-
is in
we-
there. It's already in the general fund, so
Yes,
Yep.
it's in
it's
there.
not like it.
Not to
Take it
put
back
words
out.
into his mouth, he's
Yeah.
gonna position this back to the state and say to them, we don't even have a Board of Accounts. Your IC codes clearly say you have to have a board that approves it. The treasurer can't do it by herself.
That's what I was.
But our treasurer did it by herself without board approval. So now you gotta wait on state to say, oh, wait a second. Get your board formed and then do that, or it is what it is. That's his job to figure that part
But
out.
for tonight, for next year's budget, we have to put, I think we need to put $400,000 in the outstanding temporary loans
Yeah,
column.
I agree with.
So that it makes us right at the levy, just almost right there, so we don't lose any tax revenue for our county. And then if they ask for it back and they're able to get it back, we have a line item they can take it back from, and it doesn't hurt the other things.
So Lisa, I'll make that motion, put 400,000 into outstanding temporary loans
Okay.
line 4.
Eric made the motion to put it in the line item 4. Need a second?
Second.
Mike, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? No. Motion carries. $400,000 is to be put in the outstanding temporary loans column, and that will make us over budget by $47,743.
Lisa, the last.
We
thing on that.
advertise that way, and it all changes once it's advertised, and, you know, before we
Yeah, you
adopt
have
it,
to-
it changes progressively.
Everything can change. Everything can change.
So leading into that, when do you believe we can have, I mean, I do believe we need to have a joint special meeting of the budget so
I
that
think we need to
everybody.
have it also. I would like to get the information from the State Board of Accounts that you're gonna get for the finance board. I want to get some of that information collected first before
As
we
far
have a
as
meeting.
what, I thought the IC code states would it.
Yeah, I see code is
Three
clear.
commissioners
The only thing I
on
may hear from the State Board of Accounts is how we handled the 400,000 that was
Already approved.
Already.
illegally appropriated, or however you want to look at it.
Whether
I
they,
mean,
whether we can give it back to them or not. If we have to give it back to them, we have it here to give it back to them now.
Can we get a schedule for all the budget meetings so we
That's where.
know in advance what those
I-
dates are?
Normally, we don't do it till after we adopt this.
I understand that,
The
just for
adopted
for
levy.
planning purposes. it'd
And that'll
nice.
be, I would say it's gonna be right after September. We have our September 11th as our next council meeting, and we will have to meet probably once, if not twice, between that time, the end of September, when we adopt in October.
Yeah.
So can
Right
we
now, it's,
select those dates? That's what I'm suggesting.
Busy guy.
so the 11th is when we're going to that's when we have our public hearing. And then the 9th is when we would like to adopt.
9th of October.
9th of
Yes.
October.
That can be pushed back and you guys can have a special meeting if we don't have it all done. But, so like the week of the 16th and the weekend of the 23rd, maybe?
Yeah, I would rather do
Or
it the week
even-
of the 16th because we have the AIC conference on the week of the
Oh,
23rd.
yeah, that's right.
So definitely on September 11th and definitely on October 9th.
That's yes, definitely the 11th for sure. The 9th can.
Okay, here's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say let's wanna stay on Wednesday night, and it's Wednesday nights,
That's great.
all right? Let's plan on September 18th.
And what is that? What are you wanting to do? September 18th, that's when you're wanting to meet with the department heads or?
Yeah, we just got our budget books. We gotta go through our budget books. We'll go through the budget books on the 18th, and maybe Jamie will have some answers for that, so we'll know whether we got that 400,000 played with or not.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna say we need to do it again probably on October the 2nd. If we don't get everything ironed out by then.
So you're talking going through everybody's budget on the 18th.
About 1,200 a day.
But not with the individuals, just the council.
Yeah. Let's just gonna do council and maybe commissioners too, if they want to.
My only I just have a conflict on the 18th. If I can be in.
We can switch to another day of that week.
But if it's gonna be during the day, it's gonna be in the evening. We're gonna start at 5 and go till 10. What are we doing? I've never been part of it, so I don't know what to expect.
We usually do them during the day.
I'd like to one and done it, we'll get it all in and get it all out.
We
Can we
usually
do it the 19th?
Yeah.
I can do it on the 19th.
And then the 2nd of October?
Are we gonna do daytime?
Look at that.
The 2nd of October is only if we need to. We may not need to.
Yeah.
Mike,
You
you
don't
look
want
good there?
to-
Yeah, I'm good.
If you go through the 19th and you're good with everyone's budgets, you don't necessarily need to meet with any auditor, the
We have
assessor,
a-
the
we have a
treasurer. or
quorum.
something.
Slated right here for the 19th.
September 19th.
And you're gonna start at what time?
What good for you, Mike?
Again,
can do morning. You guys good with morning?
I'm good.
And then if we have any department head that we need to talk to, they'll be at work that morning, right? Alrighty then.
Are you gonna want to talk to them before you meet amongst yourselves? On the 18th or the 19th?
I'm hoping everybody goes to the books and kind of get their ideas of their questions between now and then. I don't want to wait till that day to come up with the questions, so every council member will need to go through their books and where they have a question or an idea of what they think needs, or something they don't understand, to have their questions ready, so we'll know who even you have a question for.
So not sent prior to, but ready for the meeting.
Yeah, ready for it, yeah. Because, you know, some of them, there's a lot of questions there because their budgets are large, and there's some of them that have nothing on there but their salary. So you know there's not gonna be any questions. So everybody go through their books and see what questions you might have, and then we'll be prepared.
Are the commissioners included or are they separate?
But then, do what they,
The commissioners, or well, Jamie had said that he wants to meet with the council with all of his departments. That's why they're in the front of your books, the bulk of the book.
or you want to meet with all your departments.
No, I mean, I agree with everybody, for that.
Yeah.
All right. You guys are
Once I
welcome
talk, maybe.
on the 19th, if you want to sit in on those budget meetings to help us with that, or we'll help you. or
And I'm
whatever.
assuming it will also be live too.
For that
We're-
2 days, I don't care. We could, I mean, yeah,
I would prefer it to be recorded
Yeah.
so that everybody sees it.
yeah, we never have done it before, but I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody's gonna want to sit and watch 8 hours of us bickering, but that's
That's
all right with
They
me.
might be bored. You
Yeah.
never.
Somebody,
Now, they can fast forward to who they want to see, I guess.
Real quick, y'all's the medical building in the general fund? Medical building?
I gave that to you guys. No, they're not. You guys have never got that back to me either.
I know.
No,
I'll get it
it's,
to you, Ron.
Right.
It's 4014 is its number. I don't know, maybe because the,
I'm just guessing because there wasn't enough tax revenue, so these automatically just got put over here, but I could be wrong. I'll find out what, I'll ask that question either the
I think a lot of it is like, for instance, the state pays for a lot of things. The state, there's things
Yeah,
that
I
come in,
mean-
so they're not in the general fund because it's funded by the state.
yeah, the medical building,
The county still owns the
You're-
building,
you're
so
in
the
charge of
operating
the
cost of the
buildings.
building
Yeah,
still falls on the county.
you would think so. I mean, you
I
own
don't
it.
think so, I know so.
I mean, I said you would think so.
Oh,
You own that building,
right,
and you own the tech building too.
right.
So,
but the medical building, they do get grants for their salaries and what have you. And then they do collections every month too.
Yeah.
That could be
yeah,
5,000 to 8,000.
yeah.
So they do.
That's part of the reason why they're all not in general fund. They're funded differently.
Did you ever vote on your motion?
Yeah, we voted on it, we passed it, it's done.
I did hear, okay.
Yeah, Eric made the motion, Mike second, we all voted unanimous. Now we can just do a motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
I'll second the motion.
Eric and Mike. Eric made a motion, or Eric and Matt, sorry. All right, we are adjourned. Oh, all in favor? Sorry. Yay. All right, adjourned.
I'm getting a fire truck.
Jackie said she was available.